In a recent installment of his iHeartPodcast series, McCartney, A Life in Lyrics, Grammy winner. Paul McCartney discussed the group's thoughts toward Yoko Ono, who joined them while they were recording. It happened while the band was heading toward a dissolution, as McCartney clarified, while they were recording the White Album in 1968. McCartney told poet Paul Muldoon, "John and Yoko had got together, and that was bound to have an effect on the dynamics of the group. Things like Yoko being literally in the middle of the recording session were something you had to deal with," he stated afterwards. "The theory was that this should occur if John desired it to. There's no justification for not." Following Muldoon's comment to the Let It Be singer that the group was supposed to be working throughout the recording process, McCartney said, "Anything that disturbs us is disturbing. We would allow this and not make a fuss," he stated. But at the same time, "I doubt that any of us found it especially enjoyable. That was a workplace interference. We worked in a certain way. George Martin collaborated with the four of us, and that was essentially it. And that's how we'd always done it. Thus, I don't think we were really combative. Instead, we basically bottled it up and moved on." McCartney went on to say that in the end, being in the studio was a part of the Beatles' job. It was the Beatles' concept as well as this simple, sensible notion that this was our job. "This was our life's work," he declared. "We were the Beatles. That means we recorded in lieu of touring. This implied that we wrote if we recorded." In late 2021, McCartney provided more details about the reason behind the breakup of the renowned rock quartet in an interview with John Wilson for BBC Radio 4's This Cultural Life series. He admitted at the time that he wasn't the reason of the Beatles' dissolution. "I didn't start the argument. That was our Johnny," McCartney remarked of the band's dissolution in 1970, following the decisions of Ringo Starr, George Harrison, John Lennon, and McCartney to go their separate ways. "It was not me who started the argument. Oh my God, no," he continued. "John walked into a room one day and said, 'I am leaving the Beatles.' Is that instigating the split or not? Always looking to break loose from the Beatles," McCartney continued, feeling that Lennon could have been